I believe Chris is with us today too. You there with us, Chris?
I most certainly am.
I guess we informed you a little bit about some things that went on, going on here in Fayette County, what we're trying to do, and hopefully you're on board with this and understand what's going on.
Well, I heard what you said about the veterans program. I'm a veteran of the U.S. Army, and as you know, my parents' lives were saved by the U.S. Army during World War II. They were 5 and 7 years old, and the U.S. Army liberated my parents' town in Italy from the Nazis. The Nazis had taken over their town. So anytime you can look out for the benefit of our veterans, you know, those who serve, that's certainly something worthy of doing. But I called because I wanted to talk to you about immigration and the success that President Trump is having concerning this crackdown on illegal immigration. Are you aware of what's going on there?
I've been kind of informed about it. I understand that some of the crime rates have been going down in some of the cities where they've been moving these people out.
Yeah, absolutely. John Lott, who used to work for the Justice Department, he is now the president of the Crime Prevention Research Center. He's the senior advisor for research and statistics. So he looks into statistics and numbers and data, and again used to work for the Justice Department. And so he just released a article yesterday on the Federalist, Federalist.com. Very good publication, by the way, Federalist.com. And this is what he's saying. These are what the numbers are showing. He's been speaking to the FBI, and he said, according to our FBI director, Kash Patel, that the U.S. is now on track to have the lowest murder rate ever as a result of the crackdown on illegal immigration. Does that not suggest a correlation between murder rates and illegal immigration?
It seems to be it seems to be just common sense what's going on.
Right. Some people don't want to hear that, but it is a factual. Forget feelings. Let's just look at data, raw data. Let's be objective. Let's be fair and objective and just look at the data. As illegal immigration goes down as we begin to crack down on more illegal immigration and deport them, okay? Let's say it this way. As more illegal immigrants are deported, as that increases, as deportations increase, violent crime goes down. So we do see a correlation. Deport more illegal immigrants, you see a lower rate of violent crime, murders in specific. That doesn't mean every illegal immigrant is a murderer. They aren't, but some of them are. A significant portion of them are. Even the Biden administration admitted that they were allowing violent criminals into our country. So this is the Biden administration's numbers. They were saying that about, let me see if I get this correct, approximately 4.3 million of new jobs. Okay, they're saying that they allowed 662,566. So basically 662,500 or so illegal immigrants were criminals. So the Biden administration admitted they allowed over 660,000 violent criminals who were illegal immigrants into our country. That's a lot of criminals.
600 and how much? That number one more time, Chris.
662,000, right? And 566. 662,566. So they actually admitted that number of illegal immigrants had criminal records.
So the deportation of these people is is working right now. We don't know how far we'll be able to go with this, but it is working.
Well,
From the
yeah,
numbers you're
yeah.
saying.
The liberal judges at the lower levels are trying to stop Trump, which they have no constitutional authority to do so whatsoever. Article 2, Section 1 of the U.S. Constitution gives the president authority over every agency, bureau, and department. And that's why the president has a cabinet. The first president to create a cabinet was the great George Washington. And so every person within the president's cabinet has a specific department or bureau or agency that they oversee. And so through his cabinet, the president controls the agencies, bureaus, and departments. And those are the ones that crack down on illegal immigration through the Department of Justice, DHS, and so on, ICE, Immigration, Customs, and Enforcement, which then lends this, it opens our minds to this fact. If the job of the president is to oversee the Department of Justice, the Department of Homeland Security, Immigration, Customs, and Enforcement, what in the world was Joe Biden doing for 4 years?
Taking a nap?
The man was out to lunch. We know that, right? And as early as 2020, he was already starting to show some signs of mental decline. And people within his administration admit that after 2022, he took a really strong decline mentally. So this is a man who never should have run for president. And they covered for him the media and the Democrat Party. And it's a pretty big scandal. And it doesn't look like the Democrats are going to recover, or the media, anytime soon. You know what happened with Richard Nixon with his scandal? It cost the Republican Party for about 6 years. I mean, they kept losing elections until Reagan in 1980. So Nixon steps down in August of 74 after his scandal, which was tame in comparison to what happened with Joe Biden, the cover-up, the hiding of the fact that this man was mentally incapable to be president, and they lied for him. The auto pens, who in the world was signing legislation in his name, and pardons and so on. It's an ugly situation. I know President Trump said he is going to investigate. So for about 6 years, the Republicans took a pretty big hit. And I suspect the same thing will happen with the Democrat Party and the media for covering up for a mentally challenged man who had no business being in the White House.
It's usually the crime that doesn't get you; it's the cover-up that gets you. So, like
right.
I said,
Right.
we're looking at a lot of things right here locally that aren't working out so well, and that's probably what's going to happen in Fayette County too. But
well, I'm going to tell you, you got me waxing philosophical here, but I guess there's a reason for it. There is a moral law that God put in place, and man cannot escape it. And Jesus mentioned it. He said, love the Lord your God with all your heart, mind, and soul, and love your neighbor as yourself. And when we violate that moral law, the consequence of actions will unfold. There will be a ripple effect. Whether we like it or not, we cannot lie, cheat, steal, manipulate, put a man in the White House who has no business being there, and cover for him in the media, pretend that he's competent, make up lies and say, oh, he stutters, that's his problem. No, Joe Biden's problem wasn't stuttering. It was the deterioration of his mind. So it will come out in the end. It really will.
Well,
but
go ahead.
Yeah.
Well, one of the things I just noticed this morning, and I know you've probably seen it. It probably was reported by the Federalist also, was that Kash Patel just uncovered information that during the 2020 election that the Chinese had a definite influence, and they're able to prove now that they used fake IDs to do mail-in ballots.
Oh, there's no doubt the mail-in ballots were the problem. If you recall, on a prior show when I spoke with you, the Heartland Institute, a conservative think tank, a few years ago, conducted a survey of people nationwide who filled out mail-in ballots. And the Heartland Institute found that 28% of those people who filled out mail-in ballots in the 2020 election, 28% did so incorrectly and illegally. 28%. And Heartland Institute found that if those 28% who filled out their mail-in ballots incorrectly and illegally had not done so, that President Trump would have won 6 of the 7 battleground states and would have won the election in 2020. Now what you're saying about China and the mail-in ballots, well, look, we knew for years that mail-in ballots were trouble. So did the Democrat Party. The Democrat Party went on a record saying that the mail-in ballots were problematic and unsecure. So this really isn't that much of a revelation. We knew it all along, right?
We did.
Yeah. So, I mean, things are bubbling up to the surface. Sometimes things take time. We have to let them run their course, you know. Perfect example is Omaha, Nebraska. In Omaha, there was a meat packing plant that was almost completely, not entirely, but almost completely filled with illegal immigrants. There was a crackdown there. The federal government, of course, this is the Trump administration overlooking the Justice Department, Department of Homeland Security, and they found a whole bunch of illegal immigrants working at this meatpacking plant. They arrested them, and they're processing them for deportation. Well, guess what happened? All of a sudden, John, people who are American citizens started going to the meatpacking plant and filling out applications to work there. So this means that these illegal immigrants, even if they weren't committing violent crimes, they were stealing jobs from Americans. Right?
I actually I had an interview with one, and I'm not going to tell who it was with, but one of the bigger meat packing, I went ahead and went through with it. I had really no intentions of moving to Iowa, but anyways, I went ahead and went through with it, and that was one of the questions I asked them. I said, "How many U.S. citizens work there?" And they couldn't answer the question. It was a big meat packing plant, and I mean one of the biggest in the country, they processed hogs and well, the one plant processed hogs, the other one did beef, but that was one of the questions I asked, and because it was a concern. I mean, the money was very well if you wanted to be a supervisor or you wanted to be able to do these. It was a management position, and I thought this isn't a good place to be, because at that time it was a lot of the people that were coming in were from Haiti, and they were Hessians is what they were, and they were working in these plants, and they worked like almost like the old coal miners did it, and they gave them room and board if it was part of their salary.
You see, and there's another thing. This is as a son of immigrants myself. My parents came here after World War II. The U.S. Army liberated their towns from the Nazis, saved their lives, and they came to this country with nothing but the clothes on their back and became legal citizens, and they worked their tails off. The idea is a good thing for America is a misnomer. First of all, you have the violent criminals. Second of all, you have the people who take the jobs away from Americans. Third, you have the people who get on all the various programs and don't do anything for a living. There was a man who made a YouTube video bragging that he was an illegal immigrant, got his girlfriend pregnant, was set for life. He was receiving, everything from welfare to food stamps to, Obamacare, S-chip, you name it. He was getting all these programs for free. So there's 3 different ways illegal immigration hurts us. Okay, so, and that's the problem. So the idea that this is a good thing, and there's a fourth problem with illegal immigration. The illegal immigrants themselves, as you mentioned, are mistreated. They live under the poverty zone. They make, less than minimum wage. They're not treated very well. Last time I checked, the Republicans passed the 14th Amendment, the 13th Amendment, right? And they got rid of slavery. They got rid of indentured servitude. And yet, these illegal immigrants, I guess they're getting paid, so you can technically say it's not indentured servitude, but it certainly seems a lot like it because they're being treated like serfs. So if you truly care about immigration and the immigrants themselves, the illegal immigrants are being treated poorly. They live under the poverty level. They are treated like a number. They barely get enough money to live. And in a sense, they're being treated like serfs. So nobody wins in this scenario. It hurts American jobs. It hurts the crime rate. Illegal immigration does. It takes a lot of money out of our programs, Medicare, Medicaid, things that were supposed to go to American citizens, money being taken from those. And then you just have the terrible mistreatment of the illegal immigrants themselves. And it's a bad situation.
Yeah, and you know what? It takes a lot to wrap your head around all this stuff. It does, because I mean, you often think, how do we get here? How did we get here? And the Republicans and the Democrats need to take the blame for this, because if we could have shut our borders down a long time ago. I mean, it doesn't. This isn't just a Republican problem or a Democrat problem or whatever. They could have took care of this a long time ago, and it should have been taken care of. But it's being used, and I know me and you spoke about this, but it gets used every 4 years as talking points to make sure that to help somebody try to get elected.
Well, after 9/11, remember, these terrorists who attacked us on 9/11, many of them overstayed their visa. So they were illegal immigrants. There were 20, maybe 21 hijackers? And I think a significant portion of them were here illegally. They overstayed their visas. So why in the world we didn't wake up after 9/11 and begin to crack down on illegal immigrants or illegal immigration itself? That's beyond me. I mean, that would have been the perfect time to crack down on illegal immigration, because the significant portion of the 9/11 hijackers overstayed their visas, therefore they were illegal immigrants.
Yes, I get that. And instead we veered off to a couple different other paths instead of taking care of, a lot of times, instead of fixing the problem or trying to fix the problem, we get ourselves caught up, I don't know, trying to be politically correct and take care of and nothing gets taken care of. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, the politically correct DEI woke agenda is always dangerous. Its origins go back to the old Soviet Union, believe it or not. It's commonly called cultural Marxism. It's not American at all. It's just a way to stifle people from doing the right thing. They disguise the agenda as being good for people when, in fact, it just stifles people into doing the right thing. So that's interesting you bring that up. People do get caught up in bureaucracy. I think it was Winston Churchill who said it best. He said, the American people will, and I'm paraphrasing here, the American people will always do the right thing in the end after they've first exhausted every other idea.
One more time. Churchill said...
I'm paraphrasing him. He said, the American people will always do the right thing in the end after they first exhausted every other option.
I think that is very relevant to our situation right now, right here now in the United States. We, we 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 didn't take care of things the way they should have been taken care of, and now we're going to have to go back at it from a different angle. And the other thing is too, and I've said this many times, we can't keep looking at doing the same things and expecting different results.
Yeah, that was Albert Einstein. He said the definition of insanity. Einstein said this. The definition of insanity is to do the same thing over and over and expect a different result.
Okay, Chris, we got to cut you off. I'm just about ready to go off the air, and I want to thank you for calling in. I'll be talking to you in the near future, and I appreciate it.
All right, thank you.
Yep.